Hey everyone, it's Alex and welcome to the Snapchat. I'm joined today by none other than Cozy Snap. Cozy, there is an absolutely massive international event happening in the United States of America right now, and I'm curious, have you been watching any Copa America?
What's that?
I knew you were going to say that. I absolutely knew it. It is the International North, South, and Central American Soccer Tournament, the American version of the European Soccer Championships. I knew it, man. I laughing at that because, okay, I had this conversation with somebody. I was like, hey, the United States is hosting this massive soccer event because they're kind of gearing up for the World Cup. They're like, oh, we want to get Americans into soccer. So the way we do that, have them host the World Cup, but let's do a little practice. Let's have them do the Copa America, which is like the American tournament.
Okay.
And every American person I've spoken to has no idea that it's even happening.
I have immense respect for soccer, but yeah, I'm as big as you can get on sports. The only way to make it huge in America is to kill the NFL, and that's not going to happen. So yeah, it's tough. I did not know what's happening. To be fair, though, I've barely left my studio in the last week, and so I barely know what day it is.
Yeah, man, I can see that that Elgato suntan you've got going on.
It is. It's purely from just the key lights. That's how I've got my sun. It's been great.
But it's so funny because it's with soccer. First of all, I love the idea that it brings it's the national element. You have the Italian national team playing, the Spanish national team, and it brings out people's international pride. I love that element of it. For sure. And I kind of laughed when I heard this kind of thing. We're like, oh, they're trying to make soccer more popular in the United States. That's the whole goal. And I'm like, hey guys, I think you're doing it wrong, because when I watch international soccer nowadays, I'm like, is this a field or is this an aquarium? Because I see fish flopping all over the place. And if you want Americans to get interested in the game, maybe you need more actual competitive play and less
he hit me. Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I agree. But there is nothing the World Cup when it's at its peak is so fun. It's so fun.
Yeah.
Just because I used to work at hotels, right? And tons of different people of all, different nations, and working at a big hotel during the World Cup was so special, bro, because you'd have the Germans in their cafeteria corner. You'd have, Mexico going for Mexico. It was awesome. It was so cool to see, man. And I could pick whoever because the U.S. is always out pretty quick. So I could just, pick the hometown, whoever, really. I don't know. Who do you go for? Who's your team?
Well, my parents were both born in Italy, right? I'm a first-generation Canadian. Canada actually lost to Argentina, which was a little sad, but also expected. Let's be honest, Argentina just won the World Cup, and Canada's like, hey, we have a soccer team, kind of. We got to go out there, But, listen, at the end of the day, for our household tends to cheer for Italia. We also cheer for Canada. But we just like seeing the spectacle. And I just love the idea that the whole world comes together. It's kind of funny, though. I don't know if they do this in the States, but let's say it's Canada Day. This happens all the time because it tends to fall in the summer months. It can be Canada Day, and a big soccer game can happen, and Croatia can win. And then it's Canada Day, and you're driving around, and there's people flagging with Croatian flags, going yes, let's go. You know what I mean? It's wait a minute, what's today again?
Oh, goodness, dude. I would say I've got the same hype for the Olympics. I'm a sucker. I love the Olympics. I do. I was the kid that grew up just watching, eyes glued to the screen, whether it was ice skating, a little swimming, 100-meter freestyle was so sick. All of it. I loved it all. And I'm looking forward to it. And the state's going to host it soon, man, which is going to be cool.
Yeah.
We haven't hosted it since sure. I think Utah, maybe? I don't know. It's been a long time, since early 2000s. But,
Utah. Salt Lake City, wasn't it?
Yeah, Salt Lake. That's in Utah.
Oh, okay. I don't know that, man.
Wow.
I don't know American geography. Come on. You can't come at me with that.
Yeah, you asked what Mount Rushmore was. So, no, totally, I did not expect that. I was actually, but you're like, hey, it's in Utah, or it's in Salt Lake. So, yeah, you got half of it going for you, man. It's, I think it's in LA coming up. But, all right. Shall we talk Snap? Shall we talk about this beautiful card over here, Makkari?
This beautiful card. What are you trying to bait the comments already?
What did you rate her last week?
I rated her at 2, and you came in at 1.5. So we were both kind of low, but somehow I was the high one on Makkari.
Yeah, man. I had to stand my ground. I had to, and there was it was funny in the first hour of her being out. The people that always drew her on turn 3 or 2 or 1 were like, she's so cracked. And then the more you play, she's fun. I will say she's more fun than I thought. She's kind of cool. There's some instances that I liked. The random things it sucks. Sorry to just go right into it. I'm sticking at my 1.5. I won't give her a 1, but her stats are pretty pathetic.
I'm okay with 2. I'm surprised you're sticking at 1.5. That's ruthless, man. Not even a 2? Come on, man.
Nah, dude, I didn't. I played so much Makkari, and as much as she did things, okay, like I won games. I won more games than I lost. And strong guy works, and you know you can play her in Surfer, and you can play her in control decks, dude. But she could be cut in every list and be just fine.
I'm calling BS. You didn't play her once. She plays herself.
Dude, no, she didn't even play herself. You know how many comments I got? It's like, she doesn't play. I'm like, you know what I mean. She puts herself on the board. She runs from your hand.
Oh, card gamers getting really upset about the wording and verbiage on cards. Surprise, surprise, Cozy. Are you new, buddy, or what?
Yeah, shocked, man. I'm shocked. But yeah, speedsters, man. I don't know. Second inner hates them.
Yeah, really cool effect, by the way. Actually, like the zip, zip, zip effect is really cool. For stats-wise, Cozy's rating makes sense. Approximately 52% win rate, which is higher than I expected.
52,
but a low cube rate at about 0.13. So that's very low on the cube rate spectrum. And only 2% of the meta. This seems like nobody was interested in this card at all. Like nobody. 2% of the meta? Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
that's
and
rough.
even when I saw her, she was at 48%. So yeah, it's just a card that I don't know, man. She's just anti-fun too. Like literally doing the only thing that you do in a card game is play it, and she plays herself. So I just not crazy about her. Not crazy about her. There's some fun plays, and I'm kind of happy we're moving on. And hey, look, we all need a card that's not great in the month so that you can save up. I think that's a good part.
Actually, you bring up something interesting. So I want to bring up a couple points that had me thinking about Makkari. The first was, Secondary's been really good about releasing cards at really fair power levels. I think they've nailed it lately. A little while ago, they talked about how, I think it was around the Loki season where Glenn, in one of his statements, is like, we're putting in new processes to try test our cards more effectively so that we don't have the massive outliers like Blob and Loki as often, right? It's going to happen, right? Like, there's going to be cards that overperform expectation. Like, we get caught by surprise on some cards, right? But we're going to put in better processes. So I feel like most cards, like even Cersei, was surprisingly capable despite its RNG, despite its randomness and stuff like that. So with Makkari, it started as a 3-3. It goes to a 3-4. So there's a couple ways obviously it's not enough. It's not enough right now. I don't know if it'll ever quite be enough at this current stat line. Do you go the route of going to a 3-5?
Yep.
Or do you attack its text and make its text more impactful?
So I think we're more likely to get a 3-5. And if Black Swan's a 3-5, I think Makkari can be too. That was my thoughts around it. You don't get to pick where she plays. She's 3. Yeah, she can be free, but she can also be wonky and weird. I don't think it's going to change everything for her still, which is a sign that you can do it. Now, if she went to, if she had the Proxima Midnight thing, that's a whole nother story and a much better card. The random effect is what hurts her kit kind of, not the most, but is up there. 3-5, I think, is more likely, and I'd actually prefer in some cases.
Interesting. See, I almost would lean towards preferring 3-4 with a Proxima Midnight or M'Baku.
Oh, I wish. Yeah, I just don't think it's going to happen. Yeah, I guess, maybe it does. Maybe it does. And if it does do, she's much, hey, M'Baku. If M'Baku could do it, maybe she can. Do you want it on the lowest winning lane? What lane would you like it in?
I would lean towards lowest power. I think that makes the most sense.
Okay. Yeah.
I think because it gives you this consistency, even if you're holding it in your hand and you have a Brood, you can be like, well, I'm going to play Brood over here. She's going to pop over there. I think that's pretty cool because it's a mental game. I think it allows the player to interact with the game while also having the effect happen. That's why I like it. Whereas if I'm holding Brood and I'm holding Makkari's in my hand, I'm like, okay, she's going to screw me for sure. She's going to block the Brood lane, which I don't want yet. And it's 60% of the time, it happens every time, right?
Yeah.
I guess another thing worth questioning here is they moved Gladiator from an earlier Spotlight week into the Makkari week. And I had this thought of are they pairing... Are they pairing cards that they think are not as interesting with cards in the Spotlight that are more interesting to try to kind of get those keys flowing?
Yeah, dude. I mean, I would say in one vein, I know that there's a lot that goes on in the artwork department and all this stuff, and they've had to swap cards in and out, and you've even had variants change completely. No question. you think they buffed Gilgamesh because they just weren't happy with his performance? Like, no, dude, there's no question, man, they do that. And it doesn't bother me really until it's a really bad card and like obvious good cards that are spotlights. And then you're like, come on, man. Because now you have these people that they want Airshim, but then they're like, man, but I X23. Now, Gladiator's a good card, but you don't need him. So it's like, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think Makkari's that bad. Makkari's not like Martyr bad. And also it's worth noting that Gladiator did get reduced in series, right? So they didn't have to reduce Gladiator. Gladiator was one of the gifts of the series drop, right? I guess the last thing I'll ask on Makkari, as we move on from what is clearly mid-Kari, as I would like to refer to as, do you think this could have been a Series 4 card? Like if this was a year ago, do you think this comes out Series 4?
Yes. Yeah, I got this notification. It's like, there's a brand new Series 5 card released today. I'm like, why? Don't even put the series. The people know it's Series 5 at this point. Like it's, hey, if it's, I forgot the saying, but if it's obvious though, it's obvious at this point. I think Series 4 is dead, at least on release. I don't think they do that anymore. It's stupid. I don't get it. I wish we would have at least had some communication around it. But yeah, dude, she's definitely an S4. No question. Definitely an S4 card.
I think the saying you're looking for is if it quacks like a duck, if it looks like a duck, it's Makkari.
It's Makkari. No need for speed. I love that title.
Dude, you've been on fire with the titles and thumbnails. I still like the Gilgamesh one the best, where he's holding the -8 cubes. That was so good. Oh my god. But anyways, Makkari, absolutely mid, not worth getting. X23 and Gladiator, both great cards. That's our review. Cozy sticking at 1.5, which is way more savage than I expected. I'm sticking at 2. I still think she's slightly more playable than 1.5. Cozy's angry, man. You've been on like this angry tear over the last couple weeks, man.
Dude, I've been dumping on some cards lately. You know, we got to be careful with the resources. No, there's some cards I'm like, you could do this, you could do like Fastos. I wanted to go crazy about, but then the more I thought about it, I'm like, he's tough to build around, man. But I brought up Our Lady. If you guys didn't see my side, we both talked about Quake a while. This is our gal.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at those hands. What is she holding? Are those just is she holding fists? Are those Gilgamesh's fists?
Is she holding fists? Yes. I love this screams like classic RPG vibes where it's like she's probably in an intense battle and she's like, what should I wear? A tutu.
Yeah, perfect armor choice.
Prime
Like the
defense.
blacksmith's like, hey, you need something to save your life. I got the perfect tutu for you.
This will at least stop one ladybug from landing on your left thigh. Yeah, no, dude, this is one quick bullet is gonna go through that tutu, and there's a lot of happening here. But
in my defense, it actually looks like she's holding fists. Like those aren't her hands. She's holding gloves that have massive fists.
That's her powers.
Those aren't her powers. Her powers are the plate tectonics, aren't they?
Yeah, you didn't know she could spawn giant fists?
No, I did not know that. Is that canon? Is this actual canon? Is he lying to me? I don't know. I haven't read about Quake yet. You know what? I'm gonna read about Quake tonight. In next Snapchat, I'm gonna call you out if you're lying to me.
Dude, you got so many other things you need. Don't be reading about Quake. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Okay. That takes us into the best cards that nobody's playing for this segment. We're taking a look at cards that have very high win rates, very good cube rates, but most importantly, very low play rates. The ones that are the cards that maybe you have forgotten about, that are actually incredible. And listen, there's a lot of cards in Marvel Snap that are way better than you think they are. And we're going to be talking about them right now. Now, Cozy, I had them for every single cost, as we traditionally do. Do you have them for every single cost? You look like I'm catching you by surprise here.
No, definitely not. But I can make it happen. Let's go to 1.
Okay, I'll lead the way here. Now, at 4% of the meta, this card is not seeing much play, but it is one that I seem to bring up about every 2 months as one of the top cards in the game that nobody respects. But most importantly, it combos very well with one of the best tech cards in the game, Skillmonger, and that is Nova. Nova is running a 54% win rate currently at 4% of the meta. It is an unsung hero. It works incredibly well in Destroy. It works incredibly well with Nimrod Shells, which I've been brewing with. It works incredibly well with Silver Surfer. It is just an excellent card. +1 power across the board. We get sweaty over 1-3 stat lines for 1 power cards. Nova can very easily be a 1-7, a 1-8 when you consider that spread power.
Make him a 1-2 again on that. Like, talk about cards that have age that you can just boost his core power. Nova, every time I see a Nova on the board, it'll happen after I play like my Nebula. I'm like, all right, guys, I just want to say a couple words to my Nebula. That's definitely going to die. You know, like, it's so sad. I almost should make a Nova deck where there's no Killmonger, but it's simply there for just the bait so the guy abandons the lane or something. I don't know. But yeah, Nova, I respect. I have not played it in quite some time. I did like a Surfer build, and, you know, with Killmonger, you do kind of feel like he's got to be in there. With Gilgamesh now, to your point, and some of the others. I don't know play rate right now. I didn't look at the top of my head. I know it's gone up more so than recently. I still think Spider-Ham is just a card that isn't played enough. I don't know if its play rate is high right now, but it's definitely not enough. There's just no better feeling, man, than simply completely killing a deck turn one. Thanos, dead. Spider-Ham is such a great card, still is not played enough. I love him.
I actually really like Spider-Ham in Cersei decks because I feel like you get the power, then you get that roll, right?
Absolutely.
You get a chance to flip it into something. You know, you get a Medusa for free or something like that. Who knows, right? And it's always mid. I mean, we're coping a little bit, but I really do. Maybe you just get Quake from Spider-Ham and you mess up everything completely with Cersei, right? But I do agree Spider-Ham is an absolute winner. Now, this next card, as the 2 power, Cozy has Quake on the screen again. Is this just the Marvel Quake cast? Is that what we're doing now, or what?
I got a whole nother 2 cast I love, but let's hear what you got.
All right, this is a card I actually hate. This is the funny part. I hate this card. It's one of my brother's favorite cards in the game. I hate this card. I hate this character. I hate everything this character's ever been in. I can't believe, Cozy, you know me so well. I haven't even said it. He already has it on the screen. At a 53% win rate, at 2% of the meta, Mojo. What an absolute scumbag. But 2% of the meta at a 53 post-infinite win rate? Are you kidding me? Pretty damn legit. One of the highest in the game currently.
Yeah, dude, it's the Spectrum build, and why that build is so cool is, like, you have Captain America, you have Mojo, and you have another card that I'll talk about, that the finishers, the easiest, simplest ways to finish, and Mojo just puts on that pressure. That person was doing a combo, and then they got to stop, or it's cloning VATS, and they're like, I want to play there, but I can't. Fully agree, the card in tandem, that's mine, and I think is completely disrespected, and it's because no one has him, is US Agent. Good God, dude, this card is stupid good. Stupid good. I apologize. I think we did a new Spotlight tier list not long ago, and we put him in like C tier. That you were high, brother. This guy's an A tier card. He, for the cost, is tremendous. He's great. I like him right now. I think he's just a huge powered. He's a turn 6 champion.
I'd like to publicly acknowledge that I appreciate Cozy Snap's willingness to bait angry comments on our side of the Snapchat here. Yes. Okay, first of all, let's not forget this clown got buffed very significantly. Come on, man.
No.
You're doing us so dirty here.
No. Listen. When he came out, yeah, he sucked. We hated him.
Oh, I thought you were saying he was good and we whiffed on it. I'm like, oh, now you're on us too?
A couple weeks ago, we did a Spotlight tier list, and I think we put him kind of lower than he should have been at the time. Maybe it could have been the flavor of the week, not sure, but it was a few weeks ago. I think so. Maybe I'm completely drunk. But yes, I love US Agent, love Mojo. Kind of funny we both picked those. We both picked Quake, and then we both picked similar cards at that.
Yeah, no kidding. And at the 3 cost, okay, we have a card that's actually come up already once today. It is one of the lowest played 3 cost cards in the game, but it also has a exceptionally decent win rate at almost 54% post infinite. And it's Sebastian Shaw. And I think this is a huge surprise. I recently had a game in a video where Sebastian Shaw was sitting at like almost 15 power. Like, it's kind of crazy how high this card can go. Obviously, it's a one-trick pony. It's a Silver Surfer card. But this is one of those cards as well. Like, I would love for the community to brew a deck that's not Silver Surfer with Sebastian Shaw in it. I think it's 100% possible. It has to be. Because, like, it seems like a really good card, but it's counter to Gilgamesh in the sense of, like, Gilgamesh feasts on, like, those ongoing effects, whereas Sebastian Shaw can't. It needs that permanent power. But I don't think they can change the text because it's so good in Silver Surfer, right? So a really interesting card with a very niche mechanic, but statistically extremely capable right now.
He was one of the weirdest cards to have as a season pass, like the most one-dimensional last card, and they had him as a season pass. It was always a little wonky, but yeah, he's great. He holds down Surfer vertically, and that deck needed it very badly, and he's now a core. He's a core piece of that. With 3s, bro, I went a different route. I went with WWBN, Werewolf by Night. Guys, what are we doing? Why aren't we playing this card? I get it. Board space is important. He's a 3 cost now, man. I was building a Surfer deck. And I was like, why would I not put this guy in it? I mean, it just makes sense. Yeah, you can't brood. You can't do everything. but I think he's highly slept on, in my opinion.
That actually surprises me. That surprised me a lot. Maybe I'm sleeping on Werewolf by Night because Silver Surfer is my most played archetype. It's my go-to, feels good. I don't know. When you just play Snap and you're not streaming and you're just on the can and you're like, you know what, I'm just gonna play a game for some funsies. What deck do you play? I play Surfer. I'm not quite sure what you would play.
Nowadays, like Pixie, seriously, man, I just have a good time doing that. It's too much fun.
Okay, so for me, the reason why I bring this up is because even I'm brewing tons of different Surfer decks. I pass right through Werewolf by Night. I'll stop at Wolfsbane before
He
I
doesn't
stop
need to be in
Werewolf
Surfer.
by Night.
He does like Surfer's not like the best build for him. I clearly, there's just so many cheap on reveals, bro. There's so many cheap on reveals, and this guy can easily get to these power levels that we go crazy for at the 3-cost slot.
I think that the changes to bounce might have negatively impacted him, specifically with Beast's nerf. Beast just to basically give that discount all throughout, and then now it's that next turn, and I think that might have taken a little bit off of Werewolf by Night.
All right, Alex, let's go to 4. I got 2 for you. Today. All right, first of all, it's time. It's time to talk about it. The disrespect for War Machine is getting out of control. He's taken strays from myself, actually, when Professor X got nerfed. I'm like, somehow War Machine got worse, and it was for the LOLs. Dude, I played nothing but War Machine this week. Nothing but him. Yeah, I get it. You know, playing him can be a little awkward sometimes, but the amount of locations that restrict you is astronomical. But it's not even that, man. We've got Hope Summers. We've got a lot of ways to scale up. Dude, I have missed it. I played it every single day this week. The freaking Infinite combo with War Machine is so fun. And people have long forgotten it. Like, I'll War Machine, and they're like, oh, cool. He's doing nothing really out of this. And it's just perfect. I love it. You don't have the Pro X thing. You do have the Storm that you can go off of. He needs something figured out, but I definitely think he does not have the respect of cards like Infinite or Ebony Maw.
No, I absolutely agree. It was kind of crazy to me that War Machine didn't quite make it out during the Cannonball Professor X meta. I felt like that was like the time for War Machine to really solidify itself. And I think that when you have a meta and you have this card that theoretically should be a bit of an answer and it doesn't really creep up, I think War Machine might be a buff candidate, but what you're saying is absolutely correct. And it's the same reason why on your side, when we were talking about the hidden gem decks, when you have these decks that people have not been playing against a lot, or they're cards that they're not seeing often, they misplay into them. They don't know, they're not recalling the play pattern of, a War Machine on turn 5 and recognizing that there's an Infinite coming. Yes, at high Infinite, that might be the case. But if you're trying to rank up, if you're at like rank 85 or whatever, War Machine might actually be a massive surprise factor for people, in your level, because they're not seeing that card at all and they don't know what to expect from that deck.
Dude, I think one of the things, the small things you could do to him is you just have him like Coal Obsidian, where you could play him on the one that turn. I feel like if somehow you could have him activate right then and there, it's just, how would that even work? It's just, it wouldn't do a lot, but there are some things text-wise I think they can do to him. The other card I have at 4, bro, it's 2 and 1. I know Miss Marvel has played more than others. I had this as my Cube Thieves. A late turn Miss Marvel, a 5 or a 6 Miss Marvel, can completely derail people. They've got no plan to counter it. They don't know what to do. And on the same note, and we've talked about him in this kind of spot before, Omega Red. I don't even know where he is. Omega Red, though, and Miss Marvel together are completely just, I don't know. I don't know why they're not played. Fantastic cards.
Omega Red was my pick, and I'm seeing him being splashed into the Spectrum-based decks. I actually like him in a Spectrum Wong deck because you can often play Omega Red, or you can play Wong on 4, Omega Red on 5, and they're like, and then all of a sudden you slam the Spectrum, that Omega Red lane just lifts, and it pumps the power across. I like pairing him with like the Ant-Man and Mojo and stuff like that, right? I think it's pretty damn interesting. You're not seeing, as we talked about on yours, you're not seeing Enchantresses, right? You're not seeing Rogues. And so this card just sits there and it becomes a threat. And it has like the Nebula effect where like I feel like it attracts people's play, right? People they're like, I need to compete with that Omega Red, right? You can also consider something like an Onslaught combo with it, which is super greedy as hell. But what if you do Omega Red Iron Man Onslaught? What do they really do if they don't have an Enchantress?
Yeah, even the old school deck with Claw is much better now. It just works. It just works.
Absolutely. And you know what else just works? This 5-cost card, which I'm going to admit, Cozy, you were high on, I was low on. Cozy, this is one of those circumstances. It happens. You know what? I'm talking like it doesn't happen. Cozy's often very right. I'm occasionally very wrong. Let's be honest here, right?
I've had my whiffs. I've had my whiffs. It's got to be Nomura, though.
It is Nomura at 54% win rate. It's actually amongst the highest win rate cards in Marvel Snap. 54%. That's high. That's in Infinite. 2% of the meta. Only 2% of the meta. Why is a card with a 54% win rate only running 2% of the meta? It's because that it's just slept on. It's slept on. There's no other reason. I think that people were very hesitant about it. It took some time to craft the decks. And now the decks have been crafted. It's found its niche, and it's super damn good at it. And we got a card that's remarkably high win rate with a remarkably low play rate.
Yeah, it's like US Agent 2. It's just like when they released, people didn't get them, and now it's like a lot of people just don't have her too. But yeah, I mean, dude, I just love that she brings something so unique to the table. Like if you want to play something different, talk about the segment we did on mine. Like just do Nomura builds, super fun. And now that it's been a couple weeks, dude, people don't know. They're not expecting it as much. Definitely a solid card. And that was mine at 5-2. No question, Alex, as we head into the 6th, brother. At
6 cost, there is a card here that I know you're a big fan of. It's running almost a 53% win rate. Now, the competitiveness of the 6 cost is actually pretty legit. This is one of the higher win rate 6 costs, but it's only 3% of the meta. And it's our big Yeti. No, it's not green. It's white. It's Sasquatch. It's Sasquatch. Now, listen, I'm just saying that, like, I think he got a bit of a bad rap. And we talked about, so I got roasted in the comments last week because I suggested that his 6'12 Sasquatch was probably fine. People were like, yo, Alex, what are you on, bro? Take that back. Please don't listen to this guy. And I'll admit, I was a little high on the hopium with the 6'12 Sasquatch. But listen, man, this card is probably actually being slept on.
No, it was one that just people wanted to hate. It was cool. It was the different thing to hate it. I don't care what stats say on it, whatever. Like, in fact, stats are fine on it. I love him. He's cool, and he's just so plug and playable. He's right up my alley. He's the She-Hulk kind of thing. Yeah, great pick.
Cozy, and that takes us to our Snapchat mailbag. We got a couple questions from the community here, and we're going to get started with Braxton Miranda. They state, man, I played this game so much and then took a break, and now there's so many new cards I don't have, and it sucks. This is a very common thing that we're seeing in a lot of the comments. People taking a break, coming back to Snap, getting hyped up for, Deadpool's Diner and other things that might be coming out in the future, and they're realizing, like, hey, a lot of the cards that have been released over the last couple of months are actually pretty damn legit. The balance is there, and a lot of the decks are using the new cards. Cozy, what's some advice we can give to some of the players coming back, looking to kind of progress their collections?
Dude, play Spectrum right now. I think Spectrum's such a fun deck to play at the moment. That's just solid. You don't feel like you need a lot of cards that you probably don't have. There are so many decks that look great. You just don't need. Ultron is another great example. Hatred and Ongoing. Play those, and then get the cards that, really scream strong and buy, a couple with the tokens in the shop that you want. But yeah, I mean, my advice is to second dinner and to really get the new player track kick-started better.
Yeah, I actually had some thoughts about this as well. The idea that the collection system, the spotlight system is actually is really good for a new player in the sense that when you have a spotlight track, those are 4 brand new cards. Even that token one that everyone cringes when you roll by accident, right?
Yeah.
That's a new card for a new player, right? However, the challenge is that you don't get enough keys. So they're not able to capitalize on every single week without actually spending that hard-earned moolah. That green stuff, that green stuff that, you can spend $150 on for a JPEG. I mean, that's what most people do in Marvel Snap, but you can also use it to progress. But long story short, those spotlights are actually very good for a progression for a new player. The access to the spotlight keys is the tricky part, right? But I think what Cozy's saying is absolutely correct. Find a competitive deck, whether it be Shuri, Spectrum, or a relatively inexpensive deck. Play the game for fun, and just get your daily missions done. Honestly, you're going to have more credits than you're going to realize. Just getting those daily missions done, getting those weekly missions done. That last one's a nice 500 boost to your credits there to help progress your collection level. And the one piece of advice I always give new players is always make sure all of your common cards are upgraded to uncommon, because it only costs 25 credits per collection level from common to uncommon, as opposed to the 50 credits every time thereafter. Okay, it's a nice way to kind of boost your collection level relatively early on. And that takes us to our next question from Joshy G, and it reads, is there a deck that you have trouble playing no matter how much you try, and you keep trying to get good at that deck? I've always had trouble with that Loki deck, but I got to Infinite yesterday with it for the first time. I still don't think I'm great at it, but I'm getting better at playing Loki.
I mean, I don't want to say move. We say it too often. I would probably...
It's literally move for me, though. Like, every time I play move, it's just a train wreck, man.
Has to be. It's either that or, I guess, like Cerebro 3, maybe. Like, it's fine, but I do it. I'm like, okay, that was a fun 4 game. I'm done. Like, just isn't my favorite.
Yeah, every time you play Cerebro, it's like, oh, look, Monster Island. Batching doesn't exist. You just get Monster Island over and over and over again. Yeah. I know it sucks, man. Mm-hmm. I even had someone say, oh, you have to play Cerebro 2 and put Beast in it so you can kick the monster back. I'm like, what are we doing, man?
Good
like,
God.
This is ridiculous. But if we're not picking move, right? It has to be for me Phoenix Force. Like, that's one that I gotta be honest, I kind of want to reinvest my time into Phoenix Force.
So move.
Because they changed the move mechanics. It's still move. I know it's still move, but like, no, modern Phoenix Force is running like the Nimrod package. It's running some interesting stuff. I'm in for that.
Yeah. It's definitely fun. Like, Phoenix Force and Balancer decks, I don't mind if I'm not trying to make content. Like, if I'm there's too much to think about.
I know. Actually, that's right. When I play Bounce, I always say, like, on stream, I'm like, guys, these first 10 games, don't watch. Like, this,
don't even
right?
look.
Don't pay attention to. I'm gonna misplay a little bit, but then once you start getting the hang of it, like, you start to see where the magic starts to happen and the power starts coming out. But I love this question because I think everyone has a deck that like we talked about. Like I said a million times, I just love playing Surfer. I can't get enough of it. It's just. If I wasn't making content and I was just playing this game legit just for fun all the time, I would just be playing Surfer all the time, man. My brother, who does obviously like he streams here and there, but he's not like a content creator. He only plays Spectrum decks. He only plays ongoing decks. Like if he didn't even have other cards, it wouldn't matter. I don't think I've ever seen him play Destroy or anything like that. He just plays ongoing, and I think there's a lot of players like that. I have a buddy that plays kind of casually. He only plays Galactus. He doesn't care what the meta is. He doesn't care if Galactus is good or not. He just wants to play Galactus. Because he wants to just ruin people's days with these meme-ass Galactus plays. So, I don't know. It's just funny. I thought it was a great question. And that takes us to our next one. An unsought thought asks, hot take. White Widow needs to be a 3-cost. In fact, I'd rather Black Widow be a 2-cost and White Widow be the 3-cost. Jose, what are your thoughts?
Ooh. I don't know. I like her. I like where she's at. I mean, I could see it. Like, I could see that happening. Yeah, or if you like, it's a -4 right now. If they like took it down to -3, maybe is fine as well. Black Widow does not need to go back down to 2 though. That's we open a can of worms with that one.
Yeah, especially when you consider like Ravonna synergy it used to have and stuff like that. I think that Black Widow's probably fine at 3. You guys are forgetting how much it sucked to not draw a card on turn 2. That was awful. And I'm going to say White Widow, it's an amazing card. It's probably the best like standalone 2-cost card in the game right now. But also, it's still most often just that 0 power on the other side. Because like it does have that like control effect where you feel like you have to play into it. But at the same time, it's not often sitting as a -4 power, right? So White Widow, I think, is irritating a lot of people. But could it be a nerf candidate? I think so. Like, could it get nerfed, Cozy?
Yeah, I mean, the stats are high, so that's what they look at. I would, yeah, we could see it.
And our last question of the day comes from Miss King, and it reads, hi, I know that you're both not big comic followers, but if you could pick one artist or cover from any comic artist or any Marvel character in a game or whatnot, which one would it be? Now, Cozy, I have one right off the top I got to talk about. First of all, Artgerm. I absolutely love Artgerm's work in Marvel Snap. It's absolutely unbelievable. But there's one specific variant in the game, Cozy. It is the Kitty Pryde Kim Jacinto, the one where she's holding like that mystery box. I'm not even sure what it is. It's a cover art. It is absolutely unbelievable. And that is the one that really stands out to me as just being the perfect marriage between like cover art and art in Marvel Snap and a phenomenally talented artist.
I think Max Grek is my unsung hero. I think that guy just puts out such fun. Like, I'm playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on, like, an SNES. Like, it's just, like, I just love the flavor, the way they look. To me, man, he's, like, he's a gamer. I know he's a big gamer. I love it. I've been trying to get an interview with that guy. I like it a lot.
Max Grek's, his Green Goblin one's one of my absolute favorites.
Oh, it's a good one.
It has these very nice, clean lines, and it's one of my favorite ones in inked as well. I love that call out. But like, I think that's one thing that Marvel Snap does tremendously well. It takes some of the best, most iconic art from the history of Marvel Comics, which is extensive, right? Like, just look at a lot of the Jim Lee stuff in there. Like, the Jim Lee stuff is iconic. You see it, like, oh, that's the famous pose for this character. And it's crazy how influential these artists have been. Even as someone who has traditionally not been a big comic guy, but this game has got me into the comics. I just joked about reading about Quake before, right? Like in this podcast in and of itself, right? So I think that at the end of the day, we're really blessed to be surrounded by such amazing art, some of which is honestly historical in its context for these comics. Thank you guys so much for watching. Cozy and I genuinely appreciate your viewership. And of course, we generally appreciate you guys leaving reviews on the podcast platform of your choice. It's immensely helpful, and we'll see you on that next Snapchat episode.